Okay, so this is the lockdown haircut that we're going for. So welcome back to the channel. My name's James. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. I'd also highly recommend that you go check out my Instagram where I post some okay content. So you want to start learning to fly, but you want to know a bit more about it. Well, I did just make a video of should you learn to fly in 2021. Not gonna lie, spoil the video. Yeah. You want to get into flying, but you want to know what equipment you might need, what you're going to expect, what you're going to do. By the way, this is a bruise. Okay, I promise. To gain your private pilot's license, you will need 45 hours. 35 of them hours will be with an instructor, and 10 hours will be solo time. Your flying is mostly split into 3 sections, one of them being your general handling, which is your climbing and descending, your steep turns, all that sort of stuff, your stalls. Your second section will be your circuits. Now, that section is where a lot of student pilots will spend their time, and then the third section is your navigation, flying around using your map to get from A to B and your times. And then the fourth section is just a bit of revision, going over it before your skills test. So how much is it going to cost you? You're roughly going to be set back about £8,000, roughly. Most flight schools do packages for your 45 hours. They will give a package which is all your examination fees and your skills test examination fees and all that sort of stuff. So you're roughly £8,000, but that just depends on what type of aircraft you fly. At the current time, the CAA have just changed the exams that you do, so there is still 9 exams in good law, operational procedures, etc. But they did used to be written, used to sit them at the school, but now they're on the CAA portal, which personally I cannot give an opinion about because I did not do that way. I don't have a clue about it, but it is online now. So what equipment will you need to get into flying? The number one thing you are going to need, which is going to be your best friend for life, is your logbook. Now, my logbook has my very old flight school on the front. I moved flight school when I first joined. I started learning to begin at Mersey flight at Liverpool Airport, and your logbook just becomes your best friend, really. They were my air experience flights, which is one thing that you can do before you want to start learning to fly. Just do an air experience, see if it's for you and if you want to actually fly. They were my logged hours at the age of 14, 15, so it goes on, etc. I completed my PPL bang on 45 hours. That's because I started flying from such a young age. Most people will complete at about 50 or 60 hours, but everyone's different and everyone learns in a completely different way, so never ever bring someone down for how long it takes them to complete a license. And it's only a private license, okay? You've not exactly got your CPL. Well, most people have. I haven't. The logbook only costs about £10. You can get them from your flight school, or you can also get them on Pooley's website, which is brilliant. The next bit of a kit is essential to you, and especially now with COVID going on, you don't want to be sharing headsets. You want your personal own headset. A lot of people go straight in and get a dead expensive Bose A20 headset, which is bang on £999, but I just could not afford that at the time. So this is my headset, which has never let me down. It's a smooth aviation headset. It's noise cancelling as well, so you can't really hear anything, and it's brilliant. It gets the job done. This was £70. I'll link this down below where you can get yours. The next thing you're going to need is a map. Okay, so this is your other best friend until you pass your test. You are not allowed to fly with Sky Demon or 4Flight or whatever it is. You are going to be using a map. So, if you're like me and you live in Liverpool, you'll actually need to buy the north and south one for your training because it gets cut off bang in the middle. So, you do your nav routes down, north and etc. So you draw your lines on, just like you normally would on Snapchat. That is really bad. And so yeah, this becomes your best friend. These are about £15 off, also off the Pooley's website, but just inquire to your local flight schools, they do some as well. Also, you want to get a good flight bag. Oh, this is my flight bag. It's years old. Looks like a briefcase. It's got loads of pockets front, back. I keep some like earplugs in here. Some high visors. This is just personally what I done. I just printed out every lesson plan, and then I always revised it before my flight. So if I was going to go do stalls like a week in advance, I'd read up on stalls, get me flight 1 book out and start reading. If you want to do good in your exams and you don't want to just learn, get some of these. These are brilliant. They contain loads of information, the correct information. That way you're not just learning an exam, you're learning the material, so if something does go wrong in the air, you know how to do that. You have the study material, and then if you want to go into your CPL, your ATPLs, you have a basic understanding, and then you can develop that basic understanding. Another thing that you will need, a checklist. Okay, some flight schools are different, especially my flight school. My flight school's a company, so we use a company checklist. So we're not approved to use these checklists at my flight school, even though if I wanted to go somewhere else, I would be required to have my own. So every flight school is different. Just check with your instructor. But these were about £11, and it's different for every aircraft. Like mine is the PA38, and it just covers every single thing for your beginner checklist. Now, the main one that a lot of people worry about is a medical. Like, should you get class 2 or class 1? I've done a video on both. I've had both. I've had a class 2 medical in the past, and I recently got a class 1. Coming up to a year now, so that will be expiring on December 4th. Okay, so yeah, go yourself, get your class 2 medical done. Oh my god, there's a big cat. So go ahead, get yourself a class 2 medical. Know if you're fit to fly before spending all this money on flying. Okay, so flying, it is expensive, but it's worth it. Another item I would highly recommend is just get yourself a Gopro. I've recently just bought the brand new Hero 9. Gopro is the first Hero. Brilliant. Okay, don't know why I still have it, but it's good. It's lasted me about 5 years. Well, I'm meant to last me that long. But I do not video my flights for YouTube. When I was learning to fly, I videoed my flights so I could look back on where I was going wrong. Record my ATC as well, so I could listen to what's going on. If my instructor pointed something out, I could go back and watch that video, debrief myself on where I went wrong, what I should be picking up on, that sort of stuff. Just brilliant. They're about 150, 100, 200 pounds. Get yourself a GoPro, record your flights, and see where you're going wrong. It's a brilliant way of debriefing yourself. Okay, so just like we protect our ears, we're going to want to protect our eyes as well. There are certain requirements when this doesn't really matter for PPL, but when you film like polarized or non-polarized. So these are my sunglasses that I use for flying. They are Ray-Bans, and you just put them on, and you just look pretty decent, sort of. Only when it's sunny. You want to protect your eyes when you're flying, and that sort of stuff. I always keep them in a little pouch as well. If you want to learn to fly, go talk to your local flight school. Now's the perfect time, because with the local lockdown, flight schools are wanting inquiries. So go and inquire about wanting to learn to fly. It's a brilliant thing. Cruising around 2,000 feet, 3,000 feet, whatever the cloud is, because you're limited without an IRR. It's a perfect time to go do all that. So most people, a time frame as well, like how long do you want to spend learning to fly? I took 3.5 years, but that's because I started so young. Like I started at 14 when I could log us. I couldn't go solo till I was 16, and I couldn't get my license until 17. So that worked perfect for me, because I didn't want to fly all the time because I'd run out. I'd be wasting my money. And then some people can do it in like 6 weeks. Some people can smash it if you have the weather and you have an instructor. When it comes to booking slots, book more, because UK weather, you're most likely to be disappointed, especially coming into winter. But you do get really nice winter days. So you want to go learn to fly. Go contact your local flight school. Get into it now. It's a brilliant thing. It's rewarding. You can take your friends up and guarantee they'll be impressed. But one thing I always say is never ever spend all your money on flying. Don't focus it all around that. Spread it out. Have enough for you personally to have enjoyment. Item you will need for your PPL training is CRP, and that's just for your navigation, so you can calculate max drift on that. You can see all the pen lines on that. I need to rub that off. So your max drift and all that, and work out your ground speed and if there's any drift to your headings, and you can get a correct heading track and all that. You'll learn all that, and that is how I remember all that, because I could have bought a better notebook at the time, but I didn't. So this is me and my instructor trying to do maths, because sometimes my head goes a little bit slower at the time, and it did take me ages to get onto maths and calculate max drift. And I always wrote down like number 1, guess the track, this is max drift. Number 2, correct track to get heading. Number 3, calculate ground speed, etc, etc, etc. And then it will bring like that angle between track and wing, that sort of stuff. So I just have a note how me, and in a briefing lesson I was writing down. I'm not gonna lie, I still use that now, even though I've got a license. I still use my chart, even though I have Skydiving. I'll still bring it with me, because I don't know if my thing's going to survive. Also, get yourself an e-board. An e-board, it has the phonetic alphabet on it, emergency procedures, and you just click, you write down instructions. Never write too much with ATC. You can look back on it. Always write down your times as well, that you're taking off when you're landing, that sort of stuff. Hope this video has been sort of helpful. Probably hasn't. If you like and subscribe, follow me over on Instagram, and I shall see you again very shortly.